Open up wide and bend over. It is getting weird in Australia these days. You think you know how dystopian it's getting? You have no idea. Do not miss any of this video today. Hit that share button, like, react button, and make sure you follow along so you don't miss these videos each and every day on the News Junkie. Australian Premier Dan Andrews is where we start, and it's no longer no jab, no job, saying you don't get the shot, you don't get to work. It's now about to be escalating to a place where you don't get the shot, you don't even get to participate in the economy. Back to the caves with you.
But yes, there's going to be a vaccinated economy, and you get to participate in that if you are vaccinated. Now, that's not right now because, of course, there's many more people who want to get vaccinated than we actually can get through the system. But we're going to get to a point where everybody who can get vaccinated will have been offered the chance to do so. And we are not going to have a situation, well, at least not in Victoria, where we lock the whole place down to protect people who won't protect themselves.
So he's saying if you don't get the shot, you are out of here. Good luck finding grocery stores that'll take your money. We'll get to that in just a second. Good luck if you want to leave your Melbourne police quarantine like this guy. This is unbelievable. This guy filmed his neighbor freaking out because he was done with being in quarantine. Poke our heads out there.
Yeah, I can't talk to you, man. Just go back for the time being.
The cats can do their fucking job, this wouldn't be a fucking issue. Tell everyone the correct fucking time, where's the fucking paper?
Go back to your room.
Peek around the corner.
See what I fucking mean? Get the fuck back in your room, you cunt!
Whoa!
It's fucking late!
He's a little bit on edge, one might say. This is not the first time this guy's seen it. The person who posted on YouTube, no air, no leaving the room for 338 hours. Second time in my 11 days. Here, somebody has totally smashed up the room. Baby's crying. I think this guy thought he was leaving today when he's actually leaving at 11:59 p.m. tonight. He's not because he just got sentenced to 3 months in jail. You go crazy being all alone. Is this really necessary? I myself had 9 negative tests for being denied to quarantine at home, and I'm vaccinated. This is the price of Victorians' mental health, they say. WTF. And it gets even crazier. Some of these folks on a religious weekend dared to get together and pray to their God and celebrate in the way they do.
A late-night gathering in Ripponlea, prompting a police investigation into a possible breach. Today, officers patrolled the streets of the Melbourne suburb on one of the most important holidays on the Jewish calendar.
There is nothing pious or spiritual about ignoring the public health rules. We all need to do the right
Watch
thing.
this.
Just
It just breaks my heart to see people.
Look at that. Steve Davis, witness. This is what you've come down to. Ratting your fellow neighbors out for daring to gather or go outside. This is weird, man.
Blatantly disregarding these kind of rules because these lockdowns are killing these businesses.
Of course they are. Yes, a lot of these laws are, and Australia's been in lockdown, most of it for a very long time. I'm going to show you just how long they've been in lockdown and how unsuccessful that's been in just a bit. But get ready to open up and get ready to move in. They're building some sweet little villages for you folks.
Howard Springs near Darwin is held up as the gold standard of quarantine. Separate cabins,
How
on-site
weird.
testing, catering, and so far, no known breaches. But the Queensland government reckons it can do better.
This is going to be a great boost for our defence against the Delta virus.
State Cabinet has signed off.
How weird is this? Look at they built a village. My God. And they're all exactly the same. You sit there, they ram the thing up your nose each day, and then you tackle the world, one day at a time. Then when you get lucky, you go to the grocery store. Oh no. Bad news incoming. Supermarket shelves at grocery stores across Greater Sydney have appeared bare amid a relentless outbreak of Delta. Photos snapped by Coles and Woolworths customers emerged on social media over the last week. Here's some of the snapshots. This doesn't look good. See the bare shelves there in various aisles. not a lot left. You know, this is something that in the United States we certainly went through not that long ago, and theirs is stretching on and on and on with no end in sight. They go to the grocery store to try to get some food, but guess what? The truckers are on strike because of these rules, and the truckers aren't able to get where they need to get to replenish the stores with stuff. So you look around.
Look at Woolies in Hurstville.
You see this?
Everything is empty, literally empty.
Crazy.
Hey, why is everything empty?
There's a strike in the supplier, and that's why we didn't get any more.
Oh, he's allowing
We're
supply.
still waiting. I don't know. We're supposed to get
wow.
today, but we didn't get.
Got some oranges.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, get some oranges. Just be happy. That's what we should do. You just be happy with what you get. Go back to lockdown. God, everybody's complaining. Look how well it's all working. They flattened the curve in the wrong way, but you know, it's still a flat line. That's something, I think. And all they have to do is get to a certain percentage, which I'll talk about in just a moment, and then everybody's free again. And then you'll have stuff like this, you know, maybe not happening anymore. Here's a woman who is, I guess, a well-known anti-vaxxer who was posting messages about how people should rip off the security tape that they're putting on playgrounds because they're not letting kids play on playgrounds. And the cops followed her.
I've just been pulled over by the cops, probably because I'm outside of my 5Ks, but we'll see what happens. So I just thought I'd put the live stream on just in case.
Cops coming up to the window.
I don't know why I just took my seatbelt off. That was stupid.
So she went too far away from her house because that's a thing now. You can't go beyond 5 kilometers or about 3 miles.
Did you?
We're just from the Springvale Police Station.
Sure.
At the moment, we need to have a chat to you about a matter of incitement, so I need to place you under arrest for that, okay?
Pardon?
At the moment, you're under arrest for incitement.
Have you guys been following me?
You do not have to say I do anything, but anything you say to you may record and give evidence. Do you understand that? Do you understand that, Monica?
No comment.
Okay.
No comment. All for telling people that they should go to the playgrounds and perhaps rip off the security tape that's preventing young kids from getting out there and getting some exercise in the sun. Imagine that. A Victoria police spokesperson confirmed a 31-year-old Pakenham woman had been charged following an investigation into alleged online incitement of persons to breach the state's chief health officer's directions. It gets worse. The lockdown has been going on for a very long time, and they said, well, it's only in a couple of places in Australia. It's about 60% of the population. Almost 18 months after all this stuff hit, Victoria and New South Wales being where Sydney is, are two largest states making up almost 60% of Australia's population, are under lockdown. Melbourne, Australia's second biggest city, is at a time of this writing about to surpass London's record as the most lockdown city in the world. 207 days and counting. Ooh. We only get so much time on planet Earth. Am I selfish? Am I selfish for wanting to use it all? 207 combined days in Melbourne alone. Our lockdowns are also among the world's harshest. Here in Melbourne, you're permitted to leave your home for no longer than 2 hours a day for exercise. Everyone is in prison. And once more to go to the shops, a curfew is in place between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. Travel farther than 3 miles from your home is prohibited. Fines for breaching these and sundry subsidiary restrictions range from $1,300 to $15,000. $15,000 fines in some cases. Until they get to 70%, they're locked down. What happens when they get to 70% double doses in Australia? Well, the bars and the restaurants can reopen for the vaccinated. You can go one extra mile or kilometer, I guess, in this case. Hairdressers and barbers can reopen for the vaccinated. Get that haircut. After all, it's been hundreds of days that you've been staying in your house. Vaccinated services and places of worship still got to be real close. Sporting crowds returned for the vaccinated at that point in time. Well, when's it going to happen? Here's when. In New South Wales, they're looking at least 57 days, 2 more months. That puts them close to 1 year of lockdown rules. 1 year. Let's say you get 80. Say you get 80 good ones on this planet of ours. One of them gone just like that. And maybe more, maybe more to come. In NT, 82 days, 89 days in QLD. These are the different states in Australia. 84 days. All these, one of them 90 days until they get to that mark where the barber can open. 3 months from now, they stay in lockdown for another 3 months, and then finally they get there. And by the way, you can't just get on a plane like the folks in Hollywood do when the lockdowns hit and fly somewhere else. They were flying to Australia. If you're an Australian citizen or permanent resident, you cannot leave Australia due to COVID-19 restrictions unless you have an exemption. Nobody has exemptions, basically, for this, and you're not going anywhere. You can't go anywhere at all unless you're going for like 3 months or longer. They have a lot of very, very strict rules. And then they have an app that they use. It's called Quarantine SA. This app is bananas. I'll tell you what it does in a second. But it says, how do I get the Home Quarantine SA app? If you've been approved to use it for your quarantine period, you'll receive an SMS with a unique identifier code. You'll need to download the app from the App Store, log in using a secure account, and then activate the app. What happens then? Well, if they ping you, you have 15 minutes, as this article says. When the app pings you, to prove you're at your homes by showing the app your face, you take a picture, it scans your face, and they use your geolocation data to tell if you're at your house as you're supposed to be. If you don't do that, they will send the police to find you wherever you are, geolocate you, and potentially arrest you. Unbelievable. Look at this for Dystopian. Australia reports 1,684 new COVID-19 cases, but they're planning a Merry Christmas. It is going to be a ho, ho, ho holiday good time. And there's more. COVID separated Australian families swap hugs at the border on Father's Day. You see these orange barriers? They're literally like East and West Germany separating the states in Australia, and you cannot intermingle with people from the nearby states. Families are broken up by this, and you're just not allowed to go anywhere else. If you do, well, if you cross the line, here's what happens. These people cross that orange line. You can see it in the background right there. Off to jail with you.
Why? Are you going to arrest everyone who's on the line?
He didn't do anything. He literally didn't do anything. It's all right. We've got it on film. We've got all of those officers on
There's a
film.
concerted effort to release the prison populations in Western countries. And there's various reasons for that we can get into in another video. But we all of a sudden are filling them back up with people who dared to cross plastic barriers to hug their father on Father's Day. Those are the real criminals. And you know it. This is the serious stuff. And this applies to everybody, okay? Except for the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, who defended traveling to his home state for Australian Father's Day over the weekend. There was a bit of a backlash over that, sort of Gavin Newsom-esque sort of like almost any elected official in the United States that had rules for their citizens in their state, where they said you can't do X, Y, and Z. Now hold my beer while I do X, Y, and Z. Mr. Morrison said he understood why people were frustrated. He said he acted within the rules. He said he needed to get back to the Capitol. It's official business. And he said politicians were not required to quarantine for 14 days. Isn't that nice? The politicians, they're not required to quarantine for 14 days. Everybody else, yes. Politicians don't have to do this. It's important work that they're doing. Why would they put an end to any of this? It's a godsend for them. There's nobody on the streets. It must be brilliant driving on all these highways and interstates throughout Australia. Wind in your hair, no quarantines. You probably got access to different grocery stores that no one else has, and those shelves are stocked full, I'm sure. A young pram, aka stroller in the U.S., young stroller-pushing mothers slapped with $1,000 fines for talking in a park during the lockdown in Sydney. They literally were pushing their kids in strollers and had a conversation, and the police fined them $1,000 because that's science. Here is one of the MPs. This is Yvette Daith, the Queensland Minister for Health and Ambulance Services and Leader of the House. This is somebody who's supposed to be an expert, which goes to the needed pushback in so many cases on overreach when you use experts as a defense. This person says if anyone in the greater Brisbane area is leaving their home, they must wear a mask throughout the entire period until they get home. That includes while driving. Show me the science, one iota of it, that driving by yourself in a car requires you to wear a mask, otherwise some damage is done. This is insanity. People have lost it, and they already understand that COVID zero, unlike Coke Zero, is not a good long-term plan. And COVID zero, excuse me, is something that has backfired in so many ways. Keep in mind, Australia has a smaller population than the state of Texas alone. And right now they have about 1/50th or a little less than that, the deaths that they've seen in Texas. But if those numbers are inevitable, if when you let everybody, when we get to this 70 or 80% vaccination rate, go back to the pubs and go back to the restaurants and go back to the schools and go back to do all this, and the same amount of people in the end game, the same amount of people end up going to the hospital, end up dying. What did you gain after for waiting this whole time? What did you gain for just trying to delay the inevitable in so many ways? Let these people, let them get back to life. What is this? Are you in Australia? Let me know what you think about all this. Some of these folks have higher approval ratings right now than you would believe. Some of these folks and their moves so far are very popular because they see the death totals in places like the United States and European countries and India, and they think, well, at least we don't have that. Well, how long can that go on for? Let me know what you think about this video. I'll read your comments and interact. I always do. Whether you agree or disagree, I appreciate it. Hit that share button to spread the word and share this with your friends. There's an army of you doing that, and I appreciate every single one of you. If you're new around here at facebook.com/thenewsjunkie, hit the follow button, or better yet, support the page to support these videos each and every day for you. Over on youtube.com/thenewsjunkie, you can both subscribe and you can support over there if you don't mind. I appreciate you watching this video as always. Good luck to our friends and brethren and everybody that you may know over in Australia going through a tough time with no end in sight. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again real soon.